Film versus digital. Is there a more annoying debate in the photography community? I don't think so. Last month I traveled down to Portland, Oregon for the penultimate round of the NTT IndyCars series, and I thought, what better opportunity to put film and digital head to head than extremely high-speed motorsports. With that in mind, I brought along my Fujifilm X-T30 with the XF 100 to 400mm zoom lens and my Nikon F80 with a Sigma 70 to 300mm zoom lens. Maybe it's not the fairest comparison given the focal length equivalent of the Fujifilm lens is 150 to 600 millimeters, and the internals of the Fujifilm camera are basically a supercomputer compared to the Nikon F80, but the results I got between the two actually really surprised me. The ergonomics of both cameras weren't perfect. Ironically, the controls of the Fujifilm camera are much more akin to what an analog camera should be, with shutter speed dials and aperture rings, whereas the Nikon F80 was very much a modern SLR with a top display and mode dials and a D-pad on the back for focus points. Operating both cameras was also very different. I found that I had to add my small rig cage to the Fujifilm X-T30 to have enough grip to be able to handle that large of a lens, whereas the ergonomics of the Nikon were outstanding. The grip was outstanding, everything was right where you need it. Me being a Fujifilm shooter, the controls on Fujifilm cameras don't bother me at all, but they're definitely a little gimmicky when you start to get into serious photography. I found that the autofocus hit rate of both cameras was about the same on a percentage basis. Now with the Fujifilm, I was able to shoot thousands of frames on large, fast memory cards using the sports finder mode and the electronic shutter, shooting just an absolutely bonkers frame rate. Whereas with the Nikon, film being as expensive as it is, I was shooting single frames and really trying to pick and choose what I was pushing the shutter button for and being very intentional with what I was aiming my lens at and capturing. As far as film goes, I brought along some Fujifilm Acros 2, some Kodak XX, and Fujifilm Fujifilm Superia Extra 200 and 400, which is basically just drugstore film, but I got great results out of that relatively inexpensive film as seen by the iconic Mario Andretti on his scooter here. Just a quick word from today's video sponsor before we continue. Today's video is brought to you by Maono and the Maono Caster A200 S4 set. I believe it's actually called the Maono Caster Lite. I'm very good at this. Anyways, it's an all-in-one audio solution that's good for streaming. It's good for voiceovers. It's good for podcasting. It has multiple built-in effects like applause, and it has cheering. It has 8 built-in effects, 4 programmable effects. It's got multiple inputs. It's got volume control. It's got echo. It's got support for, I believe, 3 inputs. I'm very bad at this. It comes with a really nice condenser microphone, and I'm using it here for this voiceover so that I can pipe my music right in, and it automatically lowers the volume when I talk using a feature called sidechain. I'm going to leave a link to all this below, but the Maono Caster Lite AM200 S4 set is pretty great, so go check it out. Thanks again, Mayono, for sending this to review. All right, so at the end of the day, I think it's pretty obvious that you're going to get more technically good results from a digital camera, but I gotta be honest with you, I loved the results I got from this Nikon F80 and this Sigma 70-300. I love the results I got from the Fujifilm as well, but I didn't have to edit my film photos at all. I just basically had them developed and scanned and didn't touch them. And they look great. The XX photos look fantastic. This Porsche here is a beautiful car, and that's just drugstore film with a prosumer lens. If I was to do a more fair comparison, I probably would have used this lens, the 50-230, the XC lens, which the focal lengths match up almost perfectly. It's a little bit longer on the telephoto end and a little bit slower aperture wise, so maybe in the future I will do a comparison between this setup, but I'll use this lens instead. But overall, I have to say I had a great time at the Portland Grand Prix. It's been so long since I've been to an IndyCar race. There used to be one here in Vancouver, and they left town almost 20 years ago, so it was great to go and be a part of that whole scene again. And shout out to the event organizers for giving me a little bit of extra access that some people don't get. I had a fantastic time, and if you're interested in motorsports at all, if you're an F1 fan and F1 is a little bit out of your reach financially, or there's just no races near you, go to an IndyCar race. It's awesome, and bring a camera with you, because the access you get at IndyCar races is unlike any other sport I've ever seen. So at the end of the day, what am I going to be shooting more often for motorsports? It's probably going to stay about 50-50, but like I said, I love the results I got from just drugstore film and a camera that somebody gave to me, literally gave to me a couple of years ago. Shout out to Martin for giving me this camera. Martin, if you're out there, thumbs up. It's a good one. That's pretty much it, you guys. The only other thing I'll say is that digital cameras do give you the option to do this. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you have an old film camera and you haven't used it in a while, maybe pull it out, get a roll of film, and go shoot. I know quite a few people that shoot digital these days that have film cameras that they don't use anymore, and they probably still work just fine. And film's a lot of fun. It's just as fun now as it was when you used it back in the day. And I think you'd enjoy a little change of pace, because digital can be kind of all-consuming and makes you think you need to take 1,000 pictures to get any good ones, and that's not the case. But thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.